A 2% fee doesn't just cost you 2%. Over a long enough time period, on a $1 million portfolio, this can actually cost you $3.3 million. The people who are paying this fee have probably not ever seen the number expressed like this. Hi, my name is Vim, and with a background in private wealth management, this channel is here to help you think clearly about your portfolio and how to build long-term wealth. So with that said, let's jump into today's episode, and it's all about fees. Right. So in our example today, we're looking at a portfolio of $1 million, and it starts off with you having a gross return of 7%. Now, over a 30-year period, this portfolio, if left alone, should yield $7.6 million at the end of the period. When we introduce a 2% fee, your gross shrinks to a net of just 5%. And the impact on your portfolio at the end of the 30-year period is actually an end figure of just $4.3 million. The difference between the two is a sizable $3.3 million. You see, if you don't break it down to the dollar amount, the 2% fee can fade into the distance. But when you look at it with the same portfolio, the same market return, the 2% fee actually costs you 43% of your end result when you need the money the most. Most smart people negotiate. They look at terms, they look at contracts twice over, or even consult a legal consultant before they sign anything. But when it comes to a wealth management relationship, they usually walk in and they get a lot of smiles and they hear 2% and they feel good about it. And they simply nod and accept what's given to them. They never actually stop and consider, what does this actually mean to me? And what does it actually mean to my portfolio and my future needs? The real question that people should be asking themselves is this fee actually worth it for me? And nobody actually stops to evaluate that properly with the framework that they can quantify or break down in a manner that makes sense to them. So going back to our example, the way you should be looking at these fees is, firstly, don't look at it as a percentage. Look at it within your framework of what you're trying to achieve with your goals. Look at the time horizon that you're looking to invest. Look at the objectives you're trying to meet with your portfolio, and then punch in how much you reasonably think the portfolio will grow by based on what you've been advised. Okay. Usually people work with 7% because, according to the rule of 72, if your portfolio grows at 7.2% over a 10-year period, it's meant to double in size. So in this example, I simply stuck with 7% so people can get a feel of what that impact would be based on an arbitrary figure that the industry kind of works as a guideline to help you calculate what your growth should be at the end of that period. Secondly, it's not about trying to find the cheapest deal in town, okay, and looking for the lowest fee available on the market. What I'm saying is this: whatever fee you're getting, make sure it makes sense and it works for what you're trying to achieve. Because sometimes you're paying a good fee for good service. You could be getting sophisticated advice in terms of how to build your portfolio, the structuring behind it, any tax solutions, and a lot of good things that may be essential to what you're trying to achieve. But if that's not the case, and you're getting vague answers to very specific questions, you need to go back to the drawing board and ask yourself, is this fee worth it? Lastly, the most important thing to do is try your best to have the compounding work in your favor. If you're always having compounding work in a manner that empowers somebody else, and you're splitting your 2% between your portfolio and somebody else who should be making it grow, but ultimately is not quite producing the end result that you want, you should be looking to reschedule or realign your values with what you're trying to achieve. In our context here in Canada, it's particularly important to know what you're paying for, because Canadians have gotten accustomed to paying 2% plus in terms of their management expense ratios. This is probably one of the highest fee structures that you can get in the G7. Now, with time, these fees may have come down, but still, people have gotten used to accepting whatever's on the table in front of them. So it's your job to be savvy about what's out there in terms of the fees, but also what's in your portfolio and where you're going with it. Just to reiterate, 2% is not just 2%. Over a long enough period, it eats up 43% of your end result, whether that's your retirement portfolio or a legacy you're trying to leave to the next generation. So always be on your P's and Q's and make sure you know what you're doing in terms of your portfolio and what you're trying to achieve. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe, and also do share, because it helps the next person find out. Thank you for watching. See you on the next episode.